AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health, heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, and fascinating health topics. And of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in. Today, well, I'm back and fresh from Patricia Kane Conference, and not on the coast of New Jersey, smack dab in the middle of the state. Beautiful state as it is, by the way, but there was no water around me. But there was a whole lot of information flying across those rooms. I'm going to be bringing a lot of that to you. In fact, much of the show today is going to be in preparation for our Wednesday show. You'll see what I mean in just a moment. Of course, we'll open it up to you today, too. You were entitled, and I hope enjoyed, to re-listen to the show we did with Dr. David Brownstein the previous week on Salting Your Way to Health. He, of course, is going to be back with us. Won't be until the month of September, but that was our Friday show while I attended the Patricia Kane Conference down there in Millville, New Jersey. And then, of course, spending all that time in the classroom with her and her husband, Ed, drove back thinking about you all, because I felt that it was now time, and it is time to take the lid off all of this stuff on fatty acids that have been building up over a long, long time. We'll see what I mean as the show comes together. Now, on Wednesday, as I did promise you, I've been, talking about this fish oil thing, and I've been making some statements that you may consider relatively brash and brazen. But of course, I'm emboldened to make these statements because I've got all the science behind me to be able to make the statements. But I'm really not the scientist. The person who is the scientist is in fact going to be our guest for Wednesday, when we literally blow the lid off this sucker and finally do bring out all the facts about fish oil that really, it appears, have not been told. I think because of the confusion out there, and there is a lot of it, I think we have all marched in lockstep, meaning all the clinicians, all the docs, whether they be medical doctors or others. The fish oil bandwagon has been in play for quite some time. Now, fish oil was just a matter of being one way to replace fatty acids, that there could be better ways, or that fish oil could be a better way itself. If it was just a matter of that, then there wouldn't be such a need for fanfare and for emotion. But in fact, it's not a matter of whether or not fish oils are a better or a worse way to correct your fatty acid requirements, which I think I can make a case today for why you're going to need to do that. No, it happens to be something a little more severe, and that is that fish oils are harmful to your health. Now, we're going to set the stage today in preparation for Wednesday's show with Dr. Kane. We're going to be getting some parameters straight about this stuff on fish oil. You may have some pretty strong feelings either way about fish oil. I was really surprised to find out, weren't you, during our show with Dr. Brownstein. We had a caller during that show who happened to be calling up on this very matter. I think me having mentioned that fish oils are harmful prompted him to ask Dr. Brownstein how he felt about fish oils, which he had a pretty amazing response. I don't know if you remember, but he said, hey, look, I've never been a proponent of fish oils. I always thought that there were other ways to replace these fatty acids, and so I tip my hat to my colleague, Dr. Brownstein. Maybe others of us should have not been following in such lockstep over these years. Anyway, Ed Kane is going to be our guest on Friday. We're going to be talking about fish oil is harmful to your health. And today, we're going to be preparing for it and getting ready for his visit. And that's the way our show will go today. Now, of course, you can call up about anything you'd like. The number to do that is 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. We will set the record straight today in anticipation of our show with Ed Kane on Wednesday, a world-renowned expert on fats and fatty acids. Now, RTD dressings, folks, our shipment of the RTD dressings have arrived. We are loaded for bear. If you are a person who is a diabetic, please take this opportunity. There is no other way you get a hold of these kinds of dressings, but as you would well know, taking care of wounds in a diabetic is an extremely important task. Wound infections can easily get out of hand. The most simple of infections to a non-diabetic that literally go away within a day can become so problematic they can lead to amputations in a diabetic. That being said, a new wound dressing that we released, or at least talked about a number of months ago, and at that time said we were going to get a supply of these dressings, finally did come. They literally are a 4x4 pad. It's a 1/4 inch thick. The pads can be cut, so whatever wound you're needing to dress, you can make this pad, this 4x4 pad, last rather long, a rather long time if you cut it up as you needed it. And once placed on the wound, it truly does have a unique property. Normally, dressings that are applied to wounds in the form of gauze and the like act as nothing more than a barrier, and they prevent the invasion of bacteria and other harmful substances from the environment into the wound. In this case, the reverse has occurred. With this kind of dressing, literally a vacuum-like effect where the debris and the bacteria are removed from the wound and drawn into the dressing, and the dressing is impregnated with a number of very important and appropriate items in order to deal with those substances. Anyway, this revolutionized the operating rooms throughout the country. I think UPMC are ready, and HEH is in the process of stocking it in their operating room suites. Surgeons are requesting that RTD dressings be utilized as they're closing. You know, the final thing this surgeon does when he puts those subcuticular stitches in so as to allow you to have the smallest scar possible has been to place gauze over top of those wounds and to tape them in place. Well, the recommendations now are becoming, and whatever the surgeon wants, believe you me, when it comes to potential wound infections, the surgeon will get. And so they're requesting RTD dressings to be used not just on diabetics, but anybody who happens to be going to the operating room for any surgical procedure that's going to require dressing at the end of it, and just about all do. And so you can take their lead. They would be a very good example of wherever the surgeons are going, you need to go too. And if you're a diabetic, you need to be in front of the pack. RTD dressings are available here. Just call us up. We can send them out. That 4x4 pad could last quite a long time depending on how you snip it. But that 4x4 pad costs $25, and it's the only place that we know of in the entire country, literally, where you're able to purchase these by giving us a call without a prescription and getting a hold of this stuff, and having access to it, because it's just not really found any other way, in any other place. So RTD dressings are here. We launched another product. It was last week when we talked about the Simply Freeze. This is all a good supply of Simply Freeze has landed at our doorstep. And if you have muscular aches and pains, you probably want to try that particular product also. At this stage of the game, the only place in the country where you can get it. It'll be other places soon, I'm sure. I have to let you know whenever that's possible, but for right now, and I think it was Alan Ridgway's intention as I talked to him. He wants to go nationwide with this product and put it in the Dick's stores, the sporting goods stores, because he says that these athletes, and athletes in general, because of their muscular aches and pains, may very well sort of latch on to it. Well, I'll give you the further progress on that as time goes by. Other programs up and coming that are scheduled. We're well into August. Susan Smith-Jones, and by the way, it's not too much further before we get smack dab into August, but Susan Smith-Jones is going to be one of our guests. She's going to be with us on the 3rd of August. And then, as I had already mentioned, way out to September 16th, David Brownstein returns to talk about the salting your way to health. All right, why don't we do this? Let's take a short break. When we come back, I've got some things to share with you. I want to get you prepared, by the way, for this Wednesday show. I think we're going to be controversial once again, folks. Controversy abounds. You'll be smack dab in the middle of it, but you'll have the science and backing you up, and I hope to start providing you with that today. Be back in a moment.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instructions, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Want to help your family eat healthier? Instead of learning to disguise tofu in wondrous ways, how about some real nutritional power? If your family has the typical American palate for fries, pizza, and burgers, giving your family the blessing of good nutrition is a struggle. Fruit of the Spirit is the answer for your family's nutritional needs. Fruit of the Spirit is an all-natural, whole fruit puree made from fresh fruits native to the Holy Land with alkalizing minerals. Fruit of the Spirit was 5 years in the formulation, the work of a team of top nutritional experts with independent science to confirm its antioxidant power. 1 ounce a day provides the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits and minerals. Fruit of the Spirit is convenient, affordable, and delicious. Even your picky family will sing the praises of Fruit of the Spirit. Give your loved ones the blessing of good nutrition. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on a Monday version of the show, and not just any old Monday. It's the Monday after the Friday of the week before. And I say it that way because, as I think you well know, this past week I spent some time at a conference down in New Jersey with a couple that is just a brilliant light out there with respect to alternative medicine and the treatment of very serious diseases. I'm talking particularly about the female part of this couple, and Dr. Patricia Kane has been involved with treating severe neurological diseases for many, many years. Diseases like ALS, MS, Parkinson's. Her results with these diseases have no equal, and so consequently she's able to speak with some authority where others fall very, very short. I'm going to share with you some of what went on during that conference in preparation for this Wednesday show coming up, where you don't want to miss Wednesday show, because the issue of fish oils finally has got to be made correct. We have to set this thing straight. We've done it before on other items. We're going to do it before. We're going to do it now, so the fish oil controversy is underway, and it starts today. I wave the checkered flag today. We do have a knock on the door. Come on the store. Hello, and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Dr. Courtney, while you were touching on the RTD dressing, I had a question on that.
Sure.
I heard your original program with the gentleman, and I don't recall if he answered this. I know you speculated on whether it would work, and I'm not sure if you would know. A wound that is closed, say, specifically in my case, using bleach, got some on my hands, ate through the skin. The skin is now closed, but it didn't heal well. It's still tender and, not a clean looking healing. Not a scab now. It's skin, but again, it's tender and it didn't heal well. Would that still work on drawing stuff out since it is closed at this time, or not? Do you know anything?
Closure is one thing, but the other symptoms that you described does not mean that the wound phenomenon is over. You've got attendant symptoms. You say it is tender in the area. This tenderness is due to localized infection in the region, and I think with respect to RTD dressings, the unique thing about them is, other than acting like a barrier, so if we were talking about placing a Band-Aid on top of your wound, it would be completely ineffective right now, because you don't need a barrier anymore. Your own skin finally closed over top of your wound. The barrier is now a natural one. But what you do benefit from is the use of a device, literally it's a device, where you draw from the wound area itself, and even though the skin is closed, this will be able to draw through the skin into the absorbent and how else can I put a receptacle to continue to accept material from you into it, and provide an additional way to improve that wound that you can't get any other way. So I would say that in your case, a Band-Aid or any other device to be used at this point would not work in any way except an RTD dressing. Would absolutely work.
Okay. Now that you address it that way, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, actually, I wouldn't need a dressing unless the dressing is something that pulls it out. And since you mentioned that, the fact that in general I wouldn't need a dressing unless it pulled it out, is there any other thing topically or internally that would be better than the RTD dressing and getting the negative stuff out?
Well, in terms of we're still dealing with, if you got a tender area, even though the skin is closed, we're talking about organisms that still grow. They may be walled off considerably, and maybe because of that they're actually more problematic than they would be if they had a better blood supply. Nonetheless, when it comes to a technique to use, you've got to work it from the outside in and from the inside out. And that makes sense, doesn't it? So the outside in is the dressing component that I'm just talking about, which is rather unique It's so unique that it's one of a kind, as a matter of fact, that allows you and affords you a way to deal with this from the outside. But from the inside, there are antimicrobial approaches. Are you diabetic by any chance?
No, sir.
Okay. That's very fortunate, too, because these could get completely out of hand. But no, you need to be working towards, if this is a infection that lingers and that tenderness suggests that there's still a component of infection, then it is either viral, bacterial, fungal, or parasitic. My guess is it's bacterial, in which case I would strongly recommend utilizing something like a silver product, like MSP, mild silver protein, where you are able to use antimicrobials on the inside working out. So how long have you had the wound, sir?
2 months, 2 to 3 months maybe.
That's a considerable length of time. A wound should be well closed and done with by then.
Yeah, it closed in about a month, but it's been tender again and a little bit tough.
All right. Take my recommendations outside in, inside out. Best of luck to you.
And let me ask you also, you carry this now. How much is it for the small?
Oh, it's a 4x4 pad, and the pad itself costs $25.
Okay.
Now, it's not a one-time use pad. You take whatever amount of that 4x4 you need to cut to place over top of the wound. It stays in place for 3 days. You don't change the bandaging for 3 days, whereupon you take that and toss that part away and put another piece on. But to have something like that in your medicine cabinet to get you through this particular wound, as well as the next one, I think you're looking at a pretty good system there, okay?
Is this self-adhesive or?
No, you'll need to use an adhesive product, adhesive tape, non-stick paper tape, whatever you need to have it stay in place is certainly your choice. But this is not a sticky substance. It's placed over the wound, and then you strap it in place by some form of adhesive bandage.
Thank you, Dr. Courtney.
You're welcome. There you go. RTD dressings, folks. Even after the wound's closed, if it's tender, that wound has infectious material associated with it, and it does need to be fully rectified. It can be fully rectified. By the way, I should mention, in the case of a diabetic, you might see on the surface just a little nick, like a little, you'd swear it was a pinhole. And to someone who's not a diabetic, you would not pay any attention whatsoever to a wound so small. Well, that little small wound in a diabetic can be devastating, because that was a portal of entry of microbes into the body. Because of the poor circulation to that region, there was no way for the body's own immune system to rid itself of that infection, and that little portal of entry becomes the nidus, the focus, the origination of what can and more than likely will become a fulminant infection that expands from wherever that wound is centrally to gain access to the central circulation of the body. Pretty much of a horror story, and that's why I say that the diabetic should be making certain that they have these RTD dressings available. So happy to be able to offer them up to you. All right. Back to Jersey, back to the Kane conference. Over the last few days as I sat in the conference, I've been thinking about you folks, because I knew this message was going to be brought back to you. That's why before I left, I made Ed Kane promise that he'd pick a day this week. Wednesday's going to be the day where he would come, and he's the expert, and I'm going to let him describe from a scientific viewpoint how it is that fish oils can and are harmful to your health. I can't emphasize that enough, and it has nothing to do with the rancidity issue, which I know is an issue. It has nothing to do with the storage issue, because it's true that you have to keep The fish oil is stored in amber bottles. You have to have them shielded from light. You should have them refrigerated. All that is something that needs to be taken into account when it comes to fish oils. How about the mercury issue? If there's one thing that seems to be universal, and even to the unsophisticated public, they're aware that there's a high mercury content in fish, and they would expect that fish oil could have quite a large taint of mercury in it, and from that particular perspective, that certainly would be a health hazard. But I'm not referring to any of those commonly construed issues about fish oil that could make it potentially harmful. I'm talking about the actual substance itself. I'm saying that the components found in fish oil, when they are not rancid, when they're completely fresh, when they have no mercury whatsoever associated with them, I say are harmful, and it's time that we brought this to your attention. Looking at as time has passed, because I've been aware of the controversy surrounding the fish oil for quite some time. Looking at as time has passed, since this has been brought to my attention, I can pretty much say that we are now leaving one era and we're about to enter another era. The era that we're leaving, and when I say we, I'm talking about medicine in toto, appears just to be emerging now, finally emerging from what I'll have to call, and which has been called, the cholesterol era. There has been such a large body of information, most of it incorrect, information put out about this substance over a many-year span, many decade span. I'd have to say that whatever the intention is, and for the most part, it has to be, you have to have a sinister attitude when it comes to thinking about this, because I think the cholesterol era, for the most part, has been a complete failure. Just about everything that we were taught about this cholesterol, and we considered to being Bible, coming from, of all places, the medical profession, and you think that they ought to know. Well, it turns out that just about everything that they brought out has become false. The poor egg was literally ridden out of town at night as one of the most harmful substances known to man, that egg, when nothing could be further from the truth. Low-fat diets abounded during the cholesterol era, and probably led to more deaths by itself than any other single medical maneuver or medical information that has been put out in this past century. Low-fat diets are completely unhealthy, and as we emerge from the cholesterol era, this will become more and more known. The medical profession has been on a quest to take cholesterol and slam it down a hole, lower it, kill it, stomp on it, get rid of it, when in fact it has been an unholy matrimony between the medical profession and the pharmaceutical profession, with the outgrowth of statin drugs, which occurred in the late 1970s and early 1980s, to the point now that even just the general public can't handle it any longer. They're saying no mas, no more. This cholesterol era is just about ended, and a new era is going to come into vogue. in the 21st century, and I believe it's for that very reason that the discussions that we're going to be having here are going to be during this period of enlightenment, because I believe the 21st century is the era of the lipid. And isn't it interesting that the lipids, which are fats, where cholesterol was to be the representative fat, was supposed to be the stuff that killed you, that would be the most harmful substance you could ever imagine having, and that you should take all steps that are humanly possible to lower your cholesterol. And of course now we have cholesterol levels that are just so low that really it has become an emergency situation. The discussion, and we'll be talking about this with Ed Kane on Wednesday. So that gentleman knows more about the membrane. The membrane is where it all happens, folks. Life is on the membrane. Talking about the cell membrane, but not just about the cell membrane. This bilipid layer, this layer of fats that surrounds each and every one of your cells, is continued on even inside the cell. And so there's membrane outside the cell, there's membrane inside the cell. Every one of the organelles has a membrane, same membrane, 5 nanometers thick. Doesn't matter whether the membrane is outside or inside, it's 5 nanometers. It's the exact same size. The membrane does not change. Whether the membrane is surrounding the nucleus of a cell, whether it's surrounding the endoplasmic reticulum, wherever there is a divider between one organelle and another organelle, it's a membrane that's doing the dividing, and that construction of that membrane is a delicate balance of your fatty acid metabolism. The era of the lipids is now coming into vogue, and the issue will become one of not downing cholesterol as something that's so terribly bad for you, but instead it's going to be how you build up your fatty acid armamentarium. The era of the lipids is going to be quite instructive on how that's to be done. Now, that membrane that I'm talking about, that membrane that is found around each and every cell, you've got trillions of them, and then thinking about the organelles within the cell, I say this membrane, 5 nanometers in thickness. How tiny is that? It would take 1 million, stacking up 1 million membranes on top of one another to equal the thickness of one sheet of paper. That's how many, that's how small this stuff is, this cell membrane, or all the other membranes too. But the construction of that membrane and how it's comprised and the components of that membrane determine your health. And I believe that's going to be the big controversy or the big quest as we move into the 21st century. How it is that you take that membrane and make it healthy once again. Because as time moves on with your diet as it is, whatever your lack of essential fatty acids are in your diet, bring along with that toxicity elements. That combination of those two will ultimately lead to a fatty acid composition of the membrane that is not healthy. Your health is directly determined by this. I think it's going to be a wonderful way to proceed to allow you to take control of some pretty serious medical conditions by adjusting the components of that membrane. And it's for that very reason that we'll be having as our guest Ed Kane on Wednesday to talk about when it comes to reconstructing that membrane. And certainly we've all been schooled on the fact that we can replace are fatty acids? Well, we got two kinds of fatty acids, right? We got essential and non-essentials. And the essential fatty acids are ones that you and I cannot make ourselves. We have to take exogenous sources. We have to take them in our diet. And if we do so, we're able to make the changes in our membrane that make them move toward a state of health. The non-essential fatty acids are ones that you can make on your own, and so it's not necessarily required that you have them in the diet. Then you learned that when it comes to fatty acids, you get these many categories, but the two that are talked about most are the omega-3s and the omega-6s. And the omega-3s and the omega-6s, fatty acids, in terms of how you should supplement, is something that everyone has been taught that they should include in their daily regime. The unfortunate thing about all this is that the resolution to provide that medical science up to this point, or I don't know who made a decision up to this point, but the way it has been decided that you should replace your fatty acids has been through the use of fish oils. Now, I know there are other ways of doing it, but I have to say that by far the most common way that we do replace and are receiving our essential fatty acids are through fish oil sources. It's come to the point that the more the merrier. People are prescribing fish oils, taking massive mega doses of these fish oils, and we have been thinking, and I think I have to include myself in that entire population of clinicians that have espoused the use of fish oils, thinking that more was better, that taking these essential fatty acids in this way was very good for you. It was a completely healthy thing to do. As it turns out, it was not very healthy at all. It has to come to an end, and that end is going to begin here on Wednesday with our first discussion with Ed Kane, talking about how fish oils can and are hazardous to your health. Now, I'd like to hear from you on what you think about this fish oil controversy so far. You may be one of these very individuals who are taking fish oil. You may be taking them in quite high amounts. You can't see how what I'm saying to you today makes any sense. But I'll tell you this, there's going to be quite a bit of scientific information that will back up everything I'm saying, and hope that science will lead the way and that ignorance will be quashed by the enlightenment of that science. And we're going to bring the science to you. It's going to be my goal and objective in the up and coming days ahead. Let's do this. Let's take a short break. When we come back, you might like to knock on the door. You can be talking about fish oils if you'd like to talk about them. You can talk about anything on your mind. 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. We will be back in a moment.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Well, sorry, I gotta go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches. Soda, that's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruit with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit is a unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea. With no added sugar, Fruit of the Spirit is a unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, M.D. is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on a Monday version of the show, a post-conference Monday. These are always critical times. We're going to be blowing the lid off of fish oil this month. We started on that saga today. Don't want to miss Wednesday's show, folks. I'm telling you, you just don't want to miss it. Ed Kane is going to be our guest, the scientist who hopefully will put the meat behind all my emotional commiseration today. Nonetheless, Ed Kane is our guest, and he'll be the one that starts to take us through the educational minefield out there and lead us to the right conclusions. Do you have a knock on the door? Come on the store. Hello, and welcome aboard. What's on your mind?
Hi, Dr. Courtney.
Hi.
My sister was to have a cataract operation.
Okay.
And because she has a left bundle branch block,
Okay.
she doesn't have a release from her doctor to have this done.
Okay.
Could you give me more information about this?
Sure. Okay. When it comes to bundle branch blocks, we're talking about the propagation of an impulse through the muscle itself, the heart muscle. And there are two. Once you get to the ventricles, there are two main bundles of nerve fibers that permeate into the ventricles, the right and the left bundle. Up to that point, we doing okay?
Yes.
Okay. Now, very common to have right bundle branch block. I can tell you that, 50% of the people that I used to look at their EKGs had a right bundle branch block, and the right bundle branch blocks are completely benign, would not be any medical consideration at all.
Okay.
Left bundle branch blocks, because we're talking about the left ventricle, the much more important structure. It turns out there are three fasciculus of the left bundle, and if you have a unifascicular block, you'd be fine. If you had a bifascicular block, you wouldn't be as fine, but you'd be okay. If you have a trifascicular block in the left bundle, this is really serious. So with the information you're giving me right now,
Okay.
I know you have a problem, or this person has a problem in the left bundle, but I don't know whether it's uni, bi, or trifascicular. And until that gets ironed out, there'll be no surgery.
Okay, that's what she was told. She's supposed to go for an additional test.
They're going to take a look and see how many of these fasciculi are involved with her left bundle. A right bundle would be no problem. People go off to have surgeries with that all the time, no problem. But whenever somebody has a left bundle branch block, you really do need to get further investigation to make sure that it is not trifascicular, because if it is, this would be extremely dangerous.
Okay. And are there choices of what kind of test you need, or is there only one test that has
It's going to be electrodiagnostic. It's going to be an EKG variety of tests, okay?
Okay.
And the ability to take a look all the way around 360 degrees around that heart to determine if how many fascicles are involved, the fasciculi are involved, is relatively easily performed by EKG. but it's going to have to be a 12-lead EKG. It's going to have to be read by a cardiologist. And
it has to be a 12 what kind of?
Oh, 12-lead. They know, the folks at the hospital,
Okay.
they only know 12-lead. They'll be doing a 12-lead. You wouldn't have to ask them to do it. But once you have that diagnosis made, if you would have a trifascicular block, you literally have to be certain to have a pacemaker on board. So you can see that it is that serious a thing that you wouldn't want anybody to be put under an anesthetic if they had a trifascicular block without having pacemaker support. So from the perspective of the anesthesia doctor too, that patient can't make it to surgery. So it seems like medicine really worked, as it usually does in these cases. Just take it as a precaution, as it is. More than likely, by the way, percentages would be way not in favor of her having a trifascicular left bundle branch block. And so more than likely it's monovesicular, which would be benign also. So don't look at this as so negative. Just look at this as a good precaution. Medicine is working its will, and medicine is able and will be able to determine if it will be safe to have this surgery done now, or whether there will have to be more provisions made in order to make surgery safe. Okay?
Okay, and is it necessary to have the stress test where you walk on the treadmill?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Very good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Sure. There you go. I know that was a little complicated answer, but nonetheless, it's a pretty complicated problem, folks. And but it is easily assessed, and the results are easily ascertainable, and there is a appropriate protocol to follow in any one of those three cases. So I'm sure this patient will ultimately get the appropriate care that they're going to require in order to have that surgery done safe. So here we are talking about fish oils today. I was looking at some of the little things I had jotted down, and I had told you that I've been aware of this stuff going on with the fish oils for quite some time, and yet I have been very timid about bringing that information back to you. And I have to say that some of this timidity had to do with the early stages that I felt we were in with respect to the scientific information that we now use. And I think that it's now finally arrived at being commonplace. I looked, and it turned out that the scientific information that's going to be used by Ed Kane on Wednesday, and he searched high and low for this information, really only became available in 1994. So if you think how many years science has moved forward, sophisticated science testing has been done, 1994 is not that long ago. And to think that the first scientific information that led to be able to make these lofty conclusions about fish oil weren't really made until 1994, and that was by Yehuda, and that was Dr. Yehuda, and it needed to be research that was duplicable. And so it has now been many years later, 16 years later, 17 years later, and there have been many scientists that have come across the same information. And so now that it has been reproducible, that other scientists concur that what could have been considered unique science in 1994 or 1998 or 2000 as I come onto the scene now has been backed up over and over and over again to make this information just replete now in the scientific journals. And it's for that very reason that we can no longer ignore. You reach a point where when something is brand new and fresh and it sort of flies in the face of it all, you go, well, geez, we need a little more work on this. This thing here, it's a little too early in the development to think that we should take on something like fish oil now. Well, it's come to the point where there is so much information now about how to appropriately supply essential fatty acids that you can't wait any longer. You've got to take the lid off of this thing, and you will have to allow the public to become equally as awakened on this topic so that they can have the ability to have it explained to them, and they can make choices, and they can find out why the fish oil that has been recommended by all their doctors, alternative. And I think, by the way, one of the big things that maybe you got to start worrying about is whenever the conventional medical community, when they start jumping on a bandwagon, you really got to be careful at that point. And I have to say that I think most of the conventional medical doctors who don't know much at all about supplementation, they certainly don't know much at all about fish oils either. But they've been on the fish oil bandwagon for years now. And that usually, just for the heck of it, that usually is a sign that, when they jump on it, something's wrong. They're way too comfy with this fish oil thing. At least cynical as I am, that's how I think about it. Another knock on the door. I'm mumbling here. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Hello. How do you feel about cod liver oil?
Hey, does it come from a fish? The problem with the cod liver oil is actually doubled from the perspective of not only is it fish oil, but it's extra fortified with vitamin A, okay? And with vitamin A, there can be tremendous toxicities developed from vitamin A. It's one of those fat-soluble vitamins that it doesn't take much to become vitamin A toxic on, and there are serious consequences to that. So, no, I mean, I can remember my mom pushing cod liver oil on me, okay? What about your mom? Did it to you too?
My grandmother did.
Your grandmother. Started with your grandmother. And so, no, it's going to turn out, by the way, you're not going to miss Wednesday's show, I hope. We have to talk about the actual science behind it, but no, it's another fish, and as such, it's the DHA and the EPA component that we have to talk about, because those are the two main fatty acids, okay? DHA and EPA. And these two are not the way to replace your essential fatty acids, and there's a scientific explanation as to why, and once you know the why, then you'll be able to be educated enough to make the decisions about whether you're going to continue with fish oils or move to, I believe, the new realm.
You don't like fish either?
No, eat fish. Eat the fish. Oh, no, eat the fish. Of course, you're going to have to be selecting fish, the smaller fish, the ones that don't have such. Now you got to worry about the mercury content, right?
No farm-raised fish.
And certainly no farm-raised fish. So, no, the food as itself is quite healthy. But the concentration of EPA and DHA found in a spoonful of this tablespoonful of fish oil is way out of whack with the way it's found in nature. And so hang in there with me now. Don't miss it.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Okay. Very true about the cod liver oil, by the way. Well, you know, I have had a history with you Pittsburghers, dating back quite a number of years now. I find that as people have talked to me and I've been mentioning to them what's up and coming here with the fish oils, they go, "Oh no, you're not going to do it again, are you?" And I think what they mean by that, of course I know what they mean by that when they say it, is it's been a while back now. It's been about, it's been over 10 years. It's been over 10 years since I introduced the first double whammy here to the Pittsburgh listening audience when I discussed, at the time, which was extremely controversial, which was the issue about vitamin C. And when I initially brought that to everybody's attention, which, by the way, if you haven't got the message, vitamin C is got to be very careful about how you supplement vitamin C. It has to be a non-corn derived source. This is what I released 10 years ago. Must be non-corn derived because 10 years ago, Monsanto had worked its will from about 1995 to, around the year 2000, 2001. And all corn at that point was genetically modified, and therefore any vitamin C that's made from it, and by the way, 99% of all vitamin C is made from corn. And so my message back then was, if you're going to take vitamin C, you better make sure it's from a non-corn derived source. Science could no longer be ignored at that point. I released that information on the airways here, and it caused an explosion. It caused controversy, and lo and behold, comments were made by other commentators on the KHB family saying, "What's wrong with Courtney? He must have lost his mind," and they swept it under the rug. And I still find them sweeping it under the rug to this very day. Well, it's 10 years later. Science has borne me out to be correct. I have been vindicated, and although I'm going to take on the fish oils, I will be vindicated again. You got to come along for the ride, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot as a result of it. You have a wonderful day today. Get ready for Wednesday. Ed Kane's going to be our guest. Fish oils. How can I say this? Oh, they'll kill you. Fish oils will kill you. Talk to you then. See you on Wednesday. Bye now.